Have you ever wanted to dress up as a bird, swoop down from ruins and kill your opponents on the battlefield? Well, with Corvus Cabal, this is your chance. In this video, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about starting a warband of Corvus Cabal dudes in Warcry. Welcome in, YouTube! Today we're talking about the bird people of Warcry, the Corvus Cabal. So, who exactly are the Corvus Cabal, you say? Well, they are a maniacal bunch of dudes and dudettes who dress up as birds and kill in the name of, well, a chaos god they don't exactly know who is. The Corvus Cabal are shamanistic in their ways. They kill people while dressed up as bird-like people. The leader cannot help but take trophies from the dead that he shows on the battlefield, inspiring his comrades to greater feats of destruction. So, this right here is the Corvus Cabal, and they are my favorite warband by far. Why, do you ask, are they my favorite? Well, the lore is quite incredible, really. These guys, they dressed up as birds and they relish in the act of killing their enemies on the battlefield in the 8 points. They especially like pretending that they're birds, jumping on top of ruins and then swooping down to kill with great fanaticism. If you like small birds, the Corvus Cabal also has something. They tame little birds that they can send out to annoy their opponent. The Corvus Cabal worships a chaos god they call the Great Gatherer. It's not exactly clear who this chaos god is, but that's part of what makes these chaos warbands so cool, is that do they worship things? Is it Slanesh in sort of the way that the glory on battlefield and killing their enemies in great swoops? Or is it really corn with the gathering of the skulls and trophies? So that's really up to you, and I think it's pretty great that you have some leeway in what Chaos God to theme them as. So, how does a Corvus Cabal warband play on the battlefield? You have quite a lot of high movement. You cannot fly, even though they're dressed as birds, but well, they are just chaos worshippers after all. You will have a few heavy hitters and quite a lot of small jabbing attacks, kind of like a carrion of birds flying in to kill the opponent by small little pecks. In the Corvus Cabal you got 6 fighter types. Let's start with the special guys. Your leader will be the Shadow Piercer, and he is one amazing leader for your Corvus Cabal Warband, right here. And what is so amazing about him is that he has a severed head that he feeds to his bird of prey, and when he does that, the rest of the warband goes crazy. I imagine them all on the battlefield just waiting around. Oh, is he gonna show the severed head? When he's gonna show, oh, he showed the severed head! Kill the enemies! Back to the Shadow Piercer. So he has okay, his movement, 5 movement, that's pretty standard for your Corvus Cabal, but it's fast, so that's great. 4 toughness and 20 wounds. He comes in at 185 points, which is quite expensive, but he's also pretty doable and he can do some damage. He has 4 attacks, strength 4, 2 damage, 5 on a crit. So he can do some damage in melee, but his special part is keeping him in a flock of low tier fighters and helping buff them. So the Shadow Piercer, the leader, he can use 3 abilities. The first one is the double ability called Raven Dart, which is quite bad really. You can pick a fighter within 8 and then you roll a die. On a 3 to 5 you deal 1 damage, which is pathetic and not worth your double. If you roll a 6, you deal the amount of damage equal to the value of the ability, so the number of the dice that you initially rolled the double with, and that can be okay, but this is really not the ability you want to spend your doubles on because you have so many great doubles. So the leader can also use the Harrowing Raven. It has a long range within 20 inches of the person using, the fighter using this ability. That fighter cannot disengage for the rest of the round. So that's pretty key. Manipulating movement or forcing your opponent not to move is quite strong. So it's quite useful with the Shadow Piercer. But the greatest thing about the leader is the Grizzly Trophy. It's a triple, and when you activate it for the rest of the round, you add 1 on melee attacks within 6 inches of him. So he's really good at buffing himself and guys around him. So what you want to do is have a lot of guys around him with small but hard-hitting attacks that jab. The fighters with spears are really great for this, because when they crit, they deal 4 damage. So, that's the Shadow Piercer. He's just bloody amazing. Next up, we have my favorite model in Warcry, one of my favorite fighters in Warcry, and that is the Shriek Talon. While this guy might seem like he has fly, in fact, he does not. But he really likes to jump off of ruins, pretending that he's flying, sort of swoop gliding with his crazy metal fangs. The Shriek Talon is quite expensive, just as expensive as your leader, but he is amazing. What makes him so amazing is the 8 movement and his special ability. He has quite a lot of attacks, 5, normal damage is 2, but the crits are 4. That's quite a lot of damage output if you can get him into melee. He also has 20 wounds, 4 armor, which makes him slightly more durable than your average guy. So he can swoop down, kill somebody in one swoop and fly off again. What makes him truly a force to be reckoned with is his triple ability, swooping attack. For a triple, this ability is quite cheap. You get a bonus move, which is quite good. But if you end that movement 3 inches lower than you started, you also get a bonus attack. So that's a bonus move and a bonus attack for just a triple, which is quite amazing. So what you can do is jump on something, use a triple, you get to jump down, you get to attack, and then you can attack again for your normal action. Or if you're already on top of something, you can get 3 attacks in a turn. He's just insane. So if you really want to min-max this warband, 2 of those guys is pretty great. Your elite guys in the warband will be the Spire Stalkers. And these are your sort of average chaos, slightly hard-hitting, but also more durable than normal. So 15 wounds and 4 armor is okay, but the damage output is also quite great, with 4 attacks, 4 strength, 2 damage, but 4 on a critical. Of course, being an amazing warband, they also have a special ability. On a double, they can just ignore the cost moving up onto terrain, so they can sort of fly up into the ruins and swoop down and attack. The quad ability I haven't really talked about yet. It is a slightly more buffed version than the normal quad, where you get a bonus move and a bonus attack. But with this quad, if you move down 3 inches from terrain, so you end your movement 3 inches lower than you started, well, you get +1 strength. So that's what you want to do all the time. Get up to terrain and jump down and kill. We got one more special, slightly bad guy. He is the normal Cabalist, but he has a familiar, a Raven with him. So the Raven is the double herring Raven, where you can force people to not be able to disengage. He's okay, 60 points, but he hits like, well, he is like a guy that has a Raven in his hand, which is quite bad. You got 2 different normal Cabalists. Either a Cabalist with spear or a Cabalist with just a Cabalist with some stuff in his hands. The Cabalist with spear is 10 points more than the normal Cabalist. but what you get is quite amazing, so I suggest making as many spear guys as possible. For the 10 points you get 1 range on the attack and also 1 more damage on criticals. And what we want to do is run the spear guys with the leader, buffing the amount of attacks they get, so they can really fish for the crits, fish for the crits, fish for the crits, fish for... I guess we have went through all of the abilities in the Corvus Cabal Warband, so let's move on. Do you want more Warband videos? Well, I think you do. If you do, please subscribe, it will mean the world to me. Tactics for the Corvus Cabal. What you want to do is maximize the usage of your movement. So that means running around with the Shriek Talon, possibly even having 2, having them fly in, killing something, away they go. What I most of the time do is try to have my leader with a bunch of the lowly guys so they can buff him up and protect him. So I usually place those in the shield, making sure that I have a force on the tabletop to be reckoned with from the start. What can happen if you put the leader in either the dagger or the hammer? He might come in too late to be able to do anything. In the dagger and the hammer I want my fast moving guys. So that means the Spire Stalkers who can move fast off of terrain and the Shriek Talons. Most of the time you don't want to be in a prolonged combat. You want to move in with great numbers, killing something and moving away. Or you want to move in with one of your hard-hitting guys, taking out a fighter and making sure that you cannot be hit back. Now the spears are great because you can stay 2 inches away and not get double attacked right back. And the Shriek Talon is great because he has so high movement. It will be quite hard for your opponent to figure out where exactly he can strike, because he can move 16 and attack twice with just the triple. So he's really key to making this warband works. Also, the Spire Stalkers can take your opponent by surprise by moving all the way up in some ruins or in the clock tower with just a double, yeah. So that can really mess up your opponent's plans. Generally, you should try and get the objectives first, and you should try and keep all your fighters on top of ruins to make sure that you can make great use of the quad and make great use of your triples. Pros and cons for the Corvus Cabal. Well, they are one of the fastest Chaos Warbands, and by Chaos Warbands I mean warbands strictly made for Warcry, not Thanes, Khorne and so on. They can take great advantage from the scenery, and that's really something that Warcry does very well, is movement and moving up and down on terrain. So if you really like that, the Corvus Cabal play to that strength. Their leader is really cool, and I especially like the flavor of him just going around with severed heads in his pockets, ready to show his crazy warband. He is quite a versatile leader that you can use to various tactics. I really like that guy. If you look at the damage output of the Corvus Cabal, it is actually sneaky good for the points you pay per fighter. So the Corvus Cabal are vulnerable. They will die in a prolonged combat with something hitting hard. And overall their damage is not amazing, so you need to take advantage of your great number of attacks in order to win the battle. Sometimes they hit really hard because their crits are so amazing, and some games you will not crit as much. If you dislike the swinginess that comes with that sort of style of playing, maybe the Corvus Cabal is not for you. So when you buy the warband you will get 9 miniatures. It's 1 leader, it's 1 Shriek Talon, it's 2 Spire Stalkers, and then it's a mix of normal and spear guys. So the best way to build the warband out of the box is making sure that you have 1 normal Cabalist, 1 Cabalist with familiar, and 3 with spears. And that would put you on an even 1k. If you really want to min-max the warband and use it in a campaign, which I strongly suggest you do, because that's just amazing, you could get the double warband box made for the Slaves to Darkness army. That way you get 2 of the 3 talents, and that's really, whoo, that is one heck of a warband. What is your favorite list to play with the Corvus Cabal? I want to know, so post it down below.